Welcome back to the Path of Passion podcast. We're on episode 4, and I'm once again Jason Holland. Today's episode's going to be a little bit different. It's probably going to be quite a bit longer because I have a special guest with me, my friend Emily.
Hello.
And we're going to be just sitting down, talking, doing a little interview, but just sitting down and talking. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
I agree. I think it'll be fantastic. I'm very excited to be here. Ever since he told me he was starting a podcast, I knew I wanted to be on it at one point or another, so I'm very excited to be here.
That was the first thing she said whenever
when can I come on?
I said that I was
When can I get my big
podcast.
break?
But before we get into any of that, I told Emily to bring a mug. And hers, you wanna talk about your mug first?
So it says best grandpa ever, and my grandpa no, but I mean, it's kind of funny in like a really stupid way, so that's mine. That's all that there is to it.
My mug, the great Ron Swanson. If you ever seen Parks and Rec, you know. The back also says, there has never been a sadness that can't be cured by breakfast food. I agree, breakfast food's best. But we also brought a drink to try. Would you like to, she just brought water.
I brought water. I'm a big water girly, so.
And I brought Prime. I bought the ice pop flavor because there's a bunch of hype behind it, and I've never tried it. So I figured we'd give it a little taste test here. So
I'm gonna give water a little taste test. Who knows what she tastes like?
I luckily cleaned this mug. This mug just sits on my shelf with a few others.
Attaboy.
Got an FFA one, Game of Thrones, and
We can do a little
Swanson.
ASMR moment.
Okay. I got to give Prime a taste test. Let's see.
Cheers.
Wait. Cheers. Okay, this is actually pretty good, though.
Yeah, the water's pretty good, too, I gotta say.
I thought it was overhyped at first. I've tried the orange, but Prime, the ice pop, is actually pretty solid.
Sponsor us.
It's really solid. Sponsor us, Prime, but...
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. We're just doing it because we enjoy the product. Like water. Not sponsored by water. But Emily. As you know, we always start each episode with a movie recommendation or TV show recommendation. You go ahead and get into yours first because I asked you to bring one.
Okay, so I actually have a movie recommendation as well as a TV show recommendation, both of which are extremely personal to me and are a big part in understanding who I am as a person. So we'll start with the TV show. It's going to be Gilmore Girls. And it is not only my favorite TV show ever, but it's really in right now. It's really trendy. I've seen it through probably 10 times or so. It's my favorite show for obvious reasons, but I think especially like with the seasons, fall and winter, its power just grows as the year continues. So 10 out of 10 recommend that. It's on Netflix and it's really trendy right now. So, I mean, get on the trend. It's all over TikTok, but it's totally worth it. Very binge worthy, which is a very important characteristic for me when it comes to a TV show.
I agree.
So yeah, it came out in 2000 and I think it ran until 2006. So it's older, but it's really witty, super fun, super wholesome, good stuff. Then for my movie recommendation, I just was telling Jason that I think I've officially made it my favorite movie ever. And that's Crazy Rich Asians, which came out in 2018. It's a great movie. It has a lot of culture to it. It's funny, it's empowering, it's tear-jerking. So it's got all the characteristics of a really good movie, in my opinion. So I think it's well-rounded just overall, a 10 out of 10. And that was on Netflix and they took it off. So I'm pretty sure the only way you can watch it is like Hulu Premium now, which is really sad, but.
I always recommend also just Prime Video because you can always rent it.
Right.
It's like $3.99 a night to rent pretty much any movie.
Yeah.
So
10 out of 10 recommend.
Prime Video too, if it's not on Hulu or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay, my movie recommendation is, I kind of got pressured into this, but it's all right. Me and her went and watched Smile.
Oh.
If you haven't, I know I'm giving a lot of horror movie recommendations. I'll be honest, I've never been a big horror fan. Recently I have, but we went to watch Smile, genuinely one of the most terrifying movies I've ever seen. And
Oh, gosh.
it was so creepy and it was so unnerving.
Because it was not only was it like an actual like horror movie with like the scary scenes, but it was psychologically scary and it was just like all characteristics of horror movies just combined into one.
I agree. So my favorite kind of horror movies, I can't remember if I mentioned this in the first episode or not. My favorite kind of horror movies are psychological thrillers, like psychological horror, because just gets in your mind and it like constantly drills. Like jump scares are great and Smile combines them both because there's a lot of set up jump scares that don't happen. So when they actually happens, it
Caught off guard. 100%.
absolutely terrifying. It was a unique concept too. I thought the story was really good. Not like we're not going to give any spoilers. Recommend Smile though.
Yes.
It's coming out on Blu-ray and DVD sometime within the next month, I think. I
Not
just
to
saw
mention,
the cover art released. But
We were like the only people in the theater at the time we were watching it. Because we literally saw it at like noon on a Sunday.
no,
The
it was like
weirdest
3
time-
o'clock on
3
a
o'clock
Sunday.
on a Sunday. The weirdest time to go watch a horror movie. We decided to go watch it because we'd been talking about seeing it for months.
Yeah.
Because whenever we went to see Top Gun, it was a commercial for that movie, and we're like, that is a really good commercial because it was short and it was very, very effective at like convincing people to see the movie because it was just really like weird and like
Yeah.
very entertaining. But we were like the only people in the theater at the time, and definitely screamed a couple times, like out loud.
She did.
I
never
totally
did, but I
did.
was terrified. I'm not even gonna lie.
I
I
was-
was absolutely terrified.
It was like nothing I had ever seen before. So definitely watch it. I definitely am going to agree with Jason on that.
No, I agree. And also, it hits on one of the most simple concepts ever, like somebody smiling. Mm-hmm. It's
Because after you watch it, you're not going to be able to like see anyone smiling and just be like, oh hey, because
Yeah.
you're going to be terrified. Like
absolutely
don't smile at
terrifying.
me. So
Now, I feel like I should give a TV show recommendation. Didn't really think about this, so this is just going to be off the cuff. Stranger Things. Recommend Stranger Things. Super good. She hasn't seen it yet.
Haven't
She's
seen it.
trying to get through it, but I was of the belief that it was going to be super cringy. It was going to be super lame. It's going to be one of those overhyped shows because fan base overhypes a lot of stuff, and the fan base is kind of like Marvel's fan base, very toxic sometimes.
amen.
But very, very good show. Season 1, peak television, super good. Season 2, all right. Season 3 and 4, amazing. Highly recommend Stranger Things. Of course, it's on Netflix, but I recommend Stranger Things as a TV show.
And I will be taking your recommendation into consideration because I do need to watch it. Because it's hard not knowing like what goes on in that show because it's literally the show of the century, I feel like. And
I somehow avoided spoilers. I don't know how I avoided spoilers, but I avoided practically every spoiler for that show.
every time people are talking about it, I close my ears because I do really want to watch it. I just have not been able to get into it. So I need to just sit down and make myself watch it. And I think I would really enjoy it. So.
That's fair. Okay, so Emily, we're just going to start out by, I'm going to have you introduce yourself, give us a little bit of a, who is Emily? So give a little bit of insight.
Well, you know, if we're asking the question, who is Emily, I'm still trying to figure it out. But I am 19 years old, and I'm a freshman at the University of Central Missouri in Warrensburg, Missouri, and it's a great time. I really enjoy college. I'm studying political science and criminal justice, hoping to do something with law in my future. They're two majors that really interest me. I actually like criminal justice more than I like political science, which is interesting because I've always been super interested in politics. That's how me and Jason, I feel like, really hit it off in middle school, is we were both like really political and everyone
I wouldn't
else
even say it
was
was
just
middle school, it was more so high school.
yeah,
where we
but
got to
I
that
would say
point.
definitely started in middle school because my mom can still recall you talking to her about like literally knowing more than the average adult in 7th grade about politics. And my mom would have these political conversations with you. And then I was like, oh, well, like, cool. Like, I agree with him on a lot of stuff. And so we hit it off starting in middle school. And then we have a very interesting friendship history, which we should probably get into at some point. But yeah, definitely very interested in politics. And me and Jason have always had that in common. Very up to date with current issues. We're very
Me,
very
probably
similar in
not
that
as
way.
much as you anymore. I got to be honest, I've kind of gotten out of it a little bit, getting more in there, but I'm less up to date.
Right,
as
but
you
you're
are.
also not like studying it. So
is
for
true.
someone who isn't a political science major, I feel like you're very up to date.
That is true.
Very up to date. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I really enjoy long walks in the park. No, I'm just kidding. I really enjoy taking naps and going on runs in my free time. And
This isn't a dating show, Emily. You don't have to.
The Bachelorette. I'm actually the Bachelorette. So
Oh, okay. Wow.
No,
I
I'm
didn't
just
know
kidding.
that.
I'm just kidding.
So when did you audition for that?
Hopefully I never actually have to do that. That's the goal, is to never scoop that low in my entire life. But we'll see. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Pretty simple, but beneath the surface I've got some interesting quirks about me. Very quirky, some would say.
You want to get into the history of our friendship?
Let's do
because
it.
I didn't originally plan for that, but I guess it gives a little bit of a context.
yes.
So me and Emily, we met.
It was
in-
before middle school, because
No,
you
it-
came to Wednesday night church. Do you remember?
That was in middle school, though. That was
Was
7th
it?
grade.
Okay, 7th grade then.
Because I'll never, I got invited by Emma and Colton. I got invited, and so I met you in 7th grade. Because, little fun fact about Emilie, she was homeschooled up until
7th grade.
school.
Mom and Dad, if you're listening to this, you know how I feel.
But she was homeschooled, and in 7th grade, she ended up coming to Eldon Actual Public School, and we met through that, and then our friendship has been a little interesting since then.
It's been very chaotic.
We have, because in middle school, we were really, really good friends.
Super close. We went to 8th grade banquet together.
Yeah, and then it was because me, you, and Sam always hung out.
Yes, we were the trio.
And then high school hit, and then
FFA happened.
I wouldn't even call it FFA happening. You just kind of went off and did your own thing.
True, very true. High school was a learning curve for me because I feel like middle school was super, middle school was very like, you're told what to do, and you just do what you're told. And then once you get to high school, you have all this freedom and all these new people. And then it kind of just like completely just hits you like a truck if you don't handle it correctly. And I definitely own up to a lot of mistakes I made in high school. Definitely did not handle things very well. Also, there was a lot of mental illness I had in high school. I definitely suffered a lot with some anxiety and depression. So that definitely was a factor in my my maybe not being the best friend I possibly could be. But that's okay. We learned from it. We're adults now. And yeah. But basically, early high school, me and Jason just, you want to like talk about what's something that doesn't get along, like clashes really bad. What's an example of that? Well, let's just say we clashed really, really bad.
Jason and peanut butter.
Jason's allergic to peanut butter. I'm peanut butter, he's Jason. That was what it was in the beginning of high school. It was rough. Like, it was like screaming matches every day. But we were still friends, I feel like. We still were definitely friends.
Kind of. I feel like we were.
It was a love-hate relationship.
We could say hi to each other, but we never really hung out. It was one of those just like.
It was 100% a love-hate relationship, I feel like.
More hate than love at that point.
Definitely more hate than love. But that was just until like sophomore year. And then junior and senior year, we definitely mended a lot of things. I actually quit FFA, which is a whole other story that isn't that important. But I quit FFA, and then I was really impressed watching him, advance in the organization, and I was very proud of him. But yeah, we got a lot closer after all that. And yeah, but ever since then, we've been good. I mean, I feel like we haven't had any.
I feel like we've been fine since then.
Ever since like junior year, we've been great. But there was like a 2-year period where it was really bad.
You're not wrong. There was a point
awful.
where I like hated your guts for a little bit.
It was like
in high school.
It was praying for each other's downfall at one point. Also, like I feel like me and Jason have always been kind of competitive.
Yeah.
So like we're both very competitive, intense people. And so if the situation isn't right, then we like definitely will go head to head. But yeah,
You're not wrong with that. I mean,
me and Jason are both very similar in a lot of ways. He's more creative than I am, but like in general, we have the same I feel like we have the same burning fire in our souls to like be the best at everything. So
we're both very ambitious.
Very
ambitious.
Know what
we want.
Very persistent. If we decide we want something, we will be getting it. It doesn't matter if we have to literally go to the depths of the earth that no other man has been to.
Yeah, we're going to clash it out in presidential debate at some point.
Yes. I don't know if I would take it that far, but I would.
I will.
I always have thought that Jason
you.
will someday be the president of the United States, and I hope that I can be on his cabinet, but I definitely do not want to run against him.
What cabinet position do you want? I feel like I would point you to education. I'm not gonna lie.
I do not want to be. I do not think that is good for the country.
For you to be in education?
I do not think I would be good at that. I want to be like the vice president or
Secretary of State.
Secretary of State.
You can be my press secretary.
Press secretary.
I feel like you would be really good at that.
Thank you. Okay, it's official. 2040.
I think it's 2040 something.
2040 something. Holland with.
Because what? I'll be 20 in 2023, and you got to be 35.
Yeah.
So first official year I can run is 15 years from now. I don't know.
And I will be the press secretary.
2038. So yeah, 2040.
All y'all can target your questions at me, and I will handle them like a boss. But yeah, keep an eye out in the upcoming decades for that, because we will be there.
History of our friendships, really interesting.
It really is. And if you knew us in high school, it just makes so much sense. But me and Jason, I'm convinced we're friends for life. Like, he's great.
I'm just using her. Like, honestly.
For my fame, for my money.
A free rest stop whenever I go home back to Warrensburg. She's like a free
Because it's like
stop.
what, over halfway back to Eldon. So he can stop anytime. But no, we're great. But yeah, our friendship has been through a lot, but you know, it just makes for a good story at the end of the day.
It does.
Honestly, a really, really good story.
Character building.
Yes, absolutely. It definitely was it definitely shows that, you know, friendship can take some work sometimes, and it can also take some getting off your own high horse a little bit, just to, you know, not be a jerk. Because sometimes you just really want to be a jerk, but I don't know. Overall, it's been a very, very good friendship. And I think that out of everybody I've ever known in my life, Jason and I are like the most honest people with each other.
Yeah.
Like, brutal. It's definitely taught me that, you know, sometimes people are honest for the wrong reasons, but then there's people like Jason who are honest because they care about you.
Nice.
Does the honesty come across a little bit like ouch sometimes? Yes, but that's what honesty is. That's honestly what it is. So definitely Jason has taught me that, you know, honesty is very important in a friendship. And I feel like Jason's friendship has taught me that other friendships that lack honesty just aren't that great. So
I bet you can hear those kids in the background.
Can you?
Like, I apologize. I have no idea. Normally, if you can hear a bunch of screaming in the background, we're currently in a gymnasium with kids outside running around.
yeah, it's not ideal, but the setup's kind of cool. We kind of killed it on the setup.
Honestly, who knows? We could have so much fun doing this. I feel like we should just start a podcast together.
I agree. Keep an eye out in the future.
Keep an eye out.
Keep your eyes out. Jason has actually inspired me with this podcast because I mean, I've been listening to every episode. I make sure to download them on my Spotify. I left a 5-star review.
Let's go.
So if you're watching this on Spotify, it's not that hard. Just tap the 5 stars and.
Not a 3 out of 5 wouldn't change a thing.
No, I gave it 5 stars. I'm biased, but
man. That's a Time
give a
Suck
review.
reference for
Sorry.
all y'all that have seen Time Suck.
Yes, oh my gosh, that is another recommendation. Dan, I don't think you're listening to this, but if you are, we love you.
We're your biggest.
But yeah, leave a review if you're on Spotify listening to this. It's really easy. All you have to do is tap the stars and you're done. But yeah, Jason's actually inspired me to kind of explore the creative aspect of myself that I didn't realize I had, because he's very creative. Like, the most creative person I know. He wears many hats when it comes to creativity, and I wear like none. So Jason has definitely encouraged me to kind of explore the creative aspect of myself.
That's not that true. Give yourself a little bit of credit. I mean,
I'm just like,
you're very stylish. There's your creativity.
Wow, thank you, Jason. I appreciate that. But that's about where it stops. So.
Okay, well.
But you have encouraged me to start exploring the creative aspects of myself.
That's good.
Which is something that I feel like I need to do, because I feel like it definitely makes life a little bit more colorful and interesting. So.
That's good. So last night, we're back on Thanksgiving break, and me and Emily and a few of our friends went to our high school, had their first home basketball game, and we were talking about, for some reason, fast food places and like tier lists and ranking fast food places.
Yeah.
And we decided we were going to talk about our fast food tier rankings. I have my top 5. We were going top 5, so here's the qualifications. And we established this last night, so we're going to
Jason established this. He's very smart. And I was like, Jason, what is fast food? Because I feel like some fast food places are more fast foody than others. But Jason, I think he defined it in a way that made a lot of sense.
I agree. Some fast food places are more fast foody than others, but I define a fast food place. If it has a drive-through, it is fast food. That is food you can go up and get. Which means Andy's frozen custard is technically fast food. So like also Subway's fast food. I would consider that. But that actually gets into my number 1. I'm going to go first if you don't care.
Go for it.
My number 1 fast food place is Freddy's.
Hot take.
Freddy's is so good. Nothing is wrong with Freddy's. Burgers, mwah, A tier. Fries, amazing. They're little like tiny
Are they crinkle
fries.
cut? Oh no.
No, they're not crinkle cut. They're like really small fries, like
McDonald's style, kind of.
McDonald's, but a little skinnier, like Steak and Shake.
I like Steak and Shake fries.
I love them. They're really good. So their fries are A tier. They also their dipping sauce, Freddy's fry sauce, absolutely amazing.
What's the base? Do you know?
I have no idea, to be 100% honest. The base is amazingness. The fry sauce is so
Wow.
good.
Thank
The
you
ice
for that,
cream is
Jason.
amazing. Like, there is nothing wrong
Okay.
with Freddy's, and that is why it will always be my number one.
Okay.
My number two is a little biased, Popeyes, because I
Okay.
really love good fried chicken. I can't eat at Chick-fil-A. As we established earlier, I'm allergic to peanuts, and I'm allergic to nuts.
And if
they
he
fry 'em in
could, his
peanut
life
oil.
would not be the same. That's all I'm going to say. Because if this man ate Chick-fil-A, I think he would lose his mind. Anyway, sorry.
No, I've heard that, but I can't compare it. So, Popeyes will always be my number one. Now, of course, I haven't tried Church's Chicken. I have not tried Cane's either, which we plan
Foreshadowing.
on doing this week.
We are doing it this week because
Honest- yeah.
it's life-changing.
We
And
plan-
it'll show up on my list. So
We plan
This is bound
on
to change.
trying Cane's this week, so maybe this list will update. But my number two is Popeyes chicken sandwich, goated. It's either mild or spicy. I love
Mm-hmm.
spicy food, so kind of biased right there. Really good. Their fries are good. Their biscuits are really dry, but they're really good. Like Popeyes, if I want a good, reliable
Uh-huh.
fried chicken when I'm on the road, it's always Popeyes. Then number three for me, honestly, is Wendy's. I've changed it up a little
Okay.
bit since last night. Wendy's,
Okay.
reliable.
very
Cheap and
yes,
goated.
So cheap.
Wendy's is one of the cheapest fast food places you can eat at, and it's so good though.
Uh-huh.
And $5 biggie bag, so
It
amazing.
is like I think it's the most bang for your buck you can get out of a fast
honestly,
food restaurant.
what do you get in it again? You get like
You
a
get
burger.
a burger, you get chicken
No-
nuggets, 10-piece chicken nuggets,
Yep.
and then fries, and then a drink.
Yeah, like
It's perfect. And then if you don't want that, you can get the 4 for $4, which is like a little bit less food, but it still does the job. It's like a sandwich of your choice, a 4-piece chicken nugget, and or is it 6? I think it's 4.
it's 4.
And then fries and a drink.
Yeah,
And it's so much food for the money that you pay for it. So it's overall you can't lose with Wendy's.
also the Frosties. You
'Kay.
cannot go to Wendy's and not get a Frosty, in my opinion.
But we were talking earlier about the strawberry frosty.
we will get into that later because
Okay.
I feel like that's a good topic for later. But
Okay.
like.
Foreshadowing.
Frosties are so
Foreshadowing.
good. The Frosties are absolutely amazing.
Yes.
Wendy's is a solid number 3 for me.
Okay,
My number
respectable.
4, Culver's.
Okay.
Culver's, so good. It's like Freddy's. I like a good burger. So their burgers are really good.
Mm-hmm.
Their chicken tenders are pretty good. They've got good options. Their cheese curds, absolutely amazing. But their ice cream is what sets it apart for me, or their
Mm-hmm. Yes.
custard.
The concretes too.
Oh my gosh. They serve custard. They don't serve ice cream. And custard is the best variation of ice cream, in my opinion.
I would agree with that statement, to be honest.
So their custard is absolutely amazing. I don't know what it is, but Culver's is just... Culver's is my number
something
4.
about it.
Also, the cheese dipping sauce is really
Underrated.
good. Get that with your fries.
Underrated. Go get it.
So underrated. It's...
I will say Culver's loses a couple points for me just because of the crinkle cut fries because I'm not big on crinkle cut fries because I feel like I'll get into this with my rankings, but I feel like they're very, very hard to cook evenly. I feel like they're either like too undercooked or they're like cooked too much to where there's like literally no potato on the inside. Anyways, that's
fair. And you know what? That's part of the thing for Culver's is like, I think the reason I like it so much is because of my involvement in FFA. So there's a few places, if you're in FFA or if you want a little insight into FFA, few places that are staples on a road trip. So either we stop at Freddy's,
okay.
we stop at Culver's,
Right.
or we stop at B-Dubs, so Buffalo Wild Wings. The reason we stop at Culver's a lot, because Culver's is a big supporter of FFA, so like advisors eat free. So the advisors are the teachers, so the advisors eat free.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I've always been told that the advisors
Wow,
eat free.
that's nice.
But they also give discounts for FFA. They have they celebrate National FFA Week with a lot of different things. Culver's,
Good.
so we always eat there,
stuff.
so it's up on my list. And number 5, good old reliable Ethan Miller last night put this in the best words. McDonald's. McDonald's is reliable. You know what you're getting every time you go to McDonald's. It's solid.
Right.
You
It's
can-
very reliable.
Yeah, it's very reliable. It's not the best, but you know exactly what you're getting whenever you go there. It's cheap. I mean, it's the cheapest fast food because they know they're going to sell stuff. So it's cheap. You know what you're getting. McDonald's is my number 5. So my number 1 through 5, Freddy's, because it has a drive-thru. Freddy's has a drive-thru.
Freddy's
so
has a
is number
drive-thru.
1.
PSA.
And then number 2 is Popeyes. Number 3, Wendy's. 4 Culver's, and 5 McDonald's. Emily, let's get into yours.
I'm going to take it away. And I do have an honorable mention before we get into this because I couldn't decide between my number 5 and this one. And my honorable mention is Wendy's. Because while I love Wendy's, my number 5 is just slightly over the edge of Wendy's.
Let's hear it.
So my number 1 is Taco Bell, and I will not tolerate any Taco Bell slander. If you do not like Taco Bell, then I don't know what to tell you, because Taco Bell has been my number 1 since I can remember. This has a bias to it because I will always go for more ethnic foods over just like a burger and fries.
It's not ethnic
and I
foods, though.
understand it's Taco Bell and it's not authentic. I understand.
It's not anywhere near authentic.
Okay, but it's the point that counts. Liv
Yeah.
Moss, right? Taco Bell, number 1. And I can keep explaining myself, or I can move on and respect the fact that this is a hot take. But I love Taco Bell, and if you're watching this or listening to this Taco Bell, just know that I support you with my money more than you probably know. So
I would love you even more if you sponsored the podcast. So.
Back, same. But like Taco Bell, I always get, recently I've been on the grilled cheese burritos. I don't know if you tried those.
Oh, I haven't tried that yet.
Whew,
Is it that
they
good?
are so good. I get the seasoned beef. I think the seasoned beef is better than the steak one, and it's cheaper too. Chicken quesadillas from Taco Bell with the quesadilla sauce. Let me tell you that the most heartbreaking moment of my life was when they took away the quesadillas, which was a quesadilla burrito.
Yeah.
Authentic, really, really authentic Mexican food. But yeah, Taco Bell, I love you, and you are my always number 1. Number 2 is Cane's, and hopefully we try that this week because I think Jason would die. The toast, the fries, the chicken, the sauce, which is basically just Worcestershire sauce as the base. It is undescribable. And I was just talking about how I didn't really like crinkle cut fries, right? Well, Cane's actually sells crinkle cut fries as their fry.
Is that why it's your number 2?
No, I mean Taco Bell will always be my number 1. Cane's could never. But
That's some
the
heat
crinkle
right there.
cut fries at Cane's have always, every time I've been, cooked to perfection, which has actually restored my hope in crinkle cut fries. And it's so fresh. Like every time I've gotten it, it's been straight out of the fryer, super fresh, and it's the perfect amount of food. The toast is perfect, and you can literally dip all of it in the sauce. The chicken, the fries, the bread, perfect. So that's my number 2. Number 3 is Chick-fil-A. I love a good Chick-fil-A moment. I'm very sad that Jason has not gotten the experience of trying
Chick-fil-A
Chick-fil-A.
sauce is really good. I can have the Chick-fil-A sauce.
Yes.
That's
Chick-fil-A sauce, I keep a bottle of it in my fridge at college.
Same.
And I put it in everything. I put it in
I do
ramen
too.
noodles. I put it on,
I've never put it in ramen noodles. That actually sounds really
it's
good.
bomb.
Though.
I put it on everything. So I put it in my tuna. I put it in, you name it, I put it in there. It's great. It's like, anyways, but the fact that Jason has not tried Chick-fil-A just blows my mind. But he can't, obviously, because they fry in peanut oil. But I genuinely think that it would not taste the same if they fried it in a different oil.
That is true. They want to go for that authentic. So.
It tastes very, rich. Chick-fil-A has, a very rich taste to it. I'm a big fan of the nuggets, not grilled nuggets. Grilled nuggets are good, but I like the fried nuggets with, the breading on it. So Chick-fil-A is number 3. The fries are obviously elite. The waffle fries are the best fry ever. The best form of fry, the best, you name it. I love waffle fries. Number 4, same as Jason, is Culver's. And I'm giving it to Culver's because Culver's is some of the most un-fast food tasting fast food you'll ever taste.
I agree.
That was so wordy,
I agree.
but it makes sense. The Wisconsin cheese curds really push it over the limit because the first time I tried a Wisconsin cheese curd, I've never been able to look back. I crave them all the time. I could eat them all day, every day. And I think Culver's is pretty good. I mean, they're in 4 because of the fries. I'm a big fry girl, so they do sell crinkle cut fries, and I have had some bad experiences with their crinkle cut fries.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
I agree.
mean,
Their fries are, but
I would never go to Culver's and just order fries.
Same.
And if I could choose a side, I would always choose cheese curds over their fries. Always.
Now I do want to cut you off real quick because I also just figured out. I remembered why Culver's was kind of lower down for me. It's expensive.
Oh my goodness, it is expensive.
It is very expensive, which goes into it's the most un-fast food tasting fast food. But that's kind of why it bumps down a little bit because it's not something you just say, I want cheap fast food. No, you got to actually commit to the bill right there.
Right.
So.
It's not we're taking a road trip with the family, all 20 kids. We're going to go to Culver's. That's just not doable because you might as well just go to Outback Steakhouse.
Chili's.
Applebee's.
Chili's is better than Applebee's.
I agree.
I digress though. Go on with
We are big Chili's fans too. Every year for Jason's birthday, Chili's. My number 5, which I put over Wendy's, is Sonic. And I feel like Sonic gets a lot of hate. I do think it's a little pricey.
for not that great of food, though.
But I think Sonic's food does what it needs to do. I think it gives what it needs to give, and the mozzarella sticks are a personal favorite of mine. Also, I have not even come close to trying a drink that is as good as a cherry limeade from Sonic.
That is true. And I will say, I think part of
And the ice, people.
Yeah. No, I agree. The ice, like, that's the best thing about Sonic, though, is the
so
tiny
good.
ice. But I think my digression towards Sonic, or transgression, whatever you want to say, like, my hate towards Sonic goes for the closest one to Eldon, so our hometown, is in California, and
Is it closer than Versailles?
uh,
It shouldn't be closer. I bet they're the same.
they're around the same 30-ish minutes away. And the one in California we always go to takes forever.
Yeah.
It minimum will take you an hour to get in and out, and it's terrible. And I think that just when you're waiting there for some food and you're expecting good quality food and it's kind of like Sonic food, you're like,
I can respect it.
Slushies though are goated. Slushies are absolutely goated.
I respect where you're coming from. I want to make that very clear. I just think that Sonic is like, when you crave Sonic, you crave it. Like no other. Like, I think it's just, and the tater tots with cheese on it.
Yeah.
Oh, it gives what it
agree.
needs to give. I think that Sonic has the best, like, appetizer food, whereas
Yes.
the other chains we've been talking about have better, like, entree type food,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. But Sonic, I love you, and that's my top 5. So we got, Taco Bell, Cane's. What was my 3? Forgetting.
Your 3 was Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, Culver's, and then Sonic number 5, Wendy's honorable mention.
So, Emily, obviously the point of this podcast is because, and it's in the name, talking about, like, being passionate about stuff, getting into what your passion is, because I think that's one of the most important things in life, is finding what you want to do, finding something you're passionate about, and wanting to actually do it. I want to get into that with you. So, what are some of your passions that you have for life? Like, what do you enjoy doing?
I really enjoy anything. I've always felt this way that isn't surface level. Like, I have never been one to enjoy anything that just scratches the surface. I've always been someone who wants to, like, dig deeper and have very deep conversations that a lot of people might not go out of their way to have. With that being said, that kind of is why I'm a political science major, because I feel like that's a good thing to study if you don't want to just scratch the surface. And I'm very passionate about some issues that don't just scratch the surface and that really dig deep in seeing the issues and, like, what contributes to problems. So I would say, like, my overall passion in life is just, like, examining issues and not only pointing out the problem, but kind of figuring out what I can do in my day-to-day life to kind of address issues that I see. And I think that's going to be a big thing in my future career. I really recently have been discovering a new passion of mine, which is hopefully someday, whenever I, Lord willing, go to law school, Lord willing, survive law school, I would love to represent women who are in situations with domestic violence in court, and I think that's kind of something that I'm starting to realize that I'm really into. There's a place in Warrensburg where I go to school called the Survival House, and it basically is a domestic abuse shelter for people who are in toxic relationships, and I recently am discovering that that's something I really need to kind of dig deep and explore why that means so much to me, as well as how I can continue to help other people in that situation, just because it's such a real problem in our world that a lot of people don't understand, and it's not just people you would assume would be in those relationships. I mean, those relationships literally exist everywhere, and a lot of people don't understand that. So that's something that I'm recently discovering I'm very passionate about, but overall I'm always one to want to have difficult conversations, and I don't really get scared of having difficult conversations. So that's something that I've always been very passionate and adamant about, is making sure that I never cut myself short by ignoring the urge I have to just really talk about things and really pursue things. So I would say that's kind of my main thing at this point in my life.
So would you say it's more like encapsulating, like, public service in general?
Yeah, and I feel like public service gets a really bad rep because I feel like it's, in today's day and age, it's kind of like public service isn't service anymore, and it's more of just like, how is it benefiting me? But, like, recently I've been looking a lot into the nonprofit sector, as well as, there are some really good people out there with really good intentions that are actually really pursuing public service. And I feel like public service is definitely in my future in multiple ways. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's funny that you talk about that because, like we mentioned earlier, so one of my favorite, like, podcasters, I guess, because I listen to multiple, Dan Cummins and his wife Lindsay, absolutely love listening to them. So they do Time Suck and they do Scared to Death has been the one I've been on a kick recently. And in Scared to Death, they were talking about, I believe it was, so they donate to a charity every single month. And I think the charity they were donating to that month was one Lindsay had picked out. And it was essentially the same thing. It was like domestic abuse, focusing on that.
Right.
And it's funny that you mentioned that. It's not funny, but figure of speech. But
Yeah.
that you mentioned that because one of the things she was talking about in that was like you never realize who those people are in those situations, and just being able to help them in any way. Like they're not necessarily going to just immediately say, I'm in that situation, I want to go and get help, because that's not always realistic.
It's not. And it's a lot of people don't understand the generational impact that those relationships have on, the kids after the kids after those kids. It's like a generational cycle of abuse that doesn't stop unless people really dig in and help. But the complicated thing is a lot of those situations, I mean, it's so much more difficult than people will give it credit for. I mean, it's literally like, just leave. You can't just leave. Like,
No.
You literally cannot just leave. And a lot of people, I feel like, have a lack of understanding when it comes to that because maybe they've never seen or been in a relationship like that. And so it's just like, it's very interesting to me. And I have a great mom who works really hard in our community, as well as my dad, with a local nonprofit to help out people in those situations. And my parents have always, always shown a lot of grace towards people in those situations, and I think a lot of that's rubbed off on me. So I don't know. I don't know where the future will take me, but hopefully somewhere where I'm helping people and I'm contributing to a cause that's bigger than myself, because I think we need more people like that in this world. So yeah, overall it's a really difficult concept, but I think that there's a lot of opportunities to make a really positive change, even if it's just in a couple people. I mean, at least you can say that you did something to help, and I feel like I live my life in such a way where, like, whenever I'm on my deathbed, I do not want to be disappointed in the way I treated people or in the way that I maybe didn't do something I wanted to do deep down because I thought it would be hard. Like, honestly, the sole reason I want to pursue a career in law is because I know that I will regret not doing it, which is just the way I live my life. Like, yes, I'm passionate about it, and yes, I'm going to probably really enjoy the career. But, like, I just know that if I don't do it, I'm going to look back on my life and be like, dang it, like, I wish I would have done that. So that's kind of how I live my life in all aspects.
No regret.
So, no regrets.
No regrets.
No regrets.
In the words of, is that Milky Way? Yeah. Was it Milky Way or Snickers commercial? I know this is a serious topic, but
I have no idea. I'm going to be honest. I have no idea.
I think it was Milky Way. Like, Milky Way used to run these commercials where this dude was tattooing, and it's like,
no regrets.
no regrets. He's meant to tattoo no regrets, but it says no regrets.
Speaking of commercials, what's the one commercial? I think it's an insurance company. Is it Progressive? It's like they're in a horror movie, and they're like, let's go get into the moving car. And he's like, are you stupid? Let's go walk into the shed with all the chainsaws.
What is that? Because it's like
I saw it last night, and I told my dad, I was like, this commercial genuinely never gets old. Like, every time I see it, I think it's so funny.
It's I think it's the Progressive one.
I think so, because I feel like they've always had the best commercials. Progressive.
Yeah. Is it? Because Progressive always has, like, flow.
It's not Aflac, is it? It's not Aflac.
No, because Aflac always wins.
Geico. It's Geico.
It's Geico.
Geico?
It is.
Shout out to Geico.
Because they always do those, like, commercials where it's like, it's so much easier, like, it makes more sense to do this. And it's always those, like, choosing the dumbest decision versus the obvious one.
Right.
What are some other ones that they have like that?
All I'm saying is that commercial has literally left a lasting impact on me.
That commercial is hilarious.
It's timeless. Like, I can't even tell you how many times I've seen the commercial, but every time I see it, I'm like, that is so funny. It's like just in shock on how funny it is. I don't know why I brought that up. It's kind of a side note, but I was just thinking about it. I was like, that's a really good commercial.
Now, going back to what you were saying earlier.
Yes.
So you're talking about how you enjoy, like, you're a poli-sci major, but also criminal justice, correct? So you're doing both those. Have you ever thought about getting into politics at all?
Yes, I do. I really do want to get into politics at some point. It might not be in a super flashy way, but I know I definitely want to organize protests at some point in my life, as well as, contribute civically in a lot of different ways. I might run for office down the road. Hopefully I can kind of work my way up as a good attorney with good intentions and, not with a bad reputation of really screwing people over. And hopefully I can afford to run for something at some point in my life. But I really would like to run for public office. That's something I've always been serious about, and that's kind of my main reason for majoring in political science, other than the fact it just interests me. But yeah, hopefully someday I will be a politician, but in a good way.
In a good way. Okay.
Yeah.
But so because you mentioned earlier you didn't want to be president, but what's the highest you would want to get?
I would not mind being a senator. The Senate has always been interesting to me, whether that be state Senate or obviously national Senate.
Would you want to be a majority leader or minority leader and be in one of those leadership positions?
I don't know. I don't know if I would necessarily want to do that. I kind of just, as a person, I really like to, explore multiple avenues, which is why I don't know that I would get elected, because I'm not very partisan in any way.
Same.
But definitely I'd want to be someone who works across the aisle, so maybe more of a underdog in the Senate. Definitely the state Senate really does interest me, because there's a lot that goes on at the state level that a lot of people don't acknowledge to the extent that it deserves to be acknowledged to. So state Senate definitely is on my radar. Also, state House, I've been seeing a lot, especially in Missouri. There's a lot of young House members.
There are.
Very, very young
And I noticed that at
House
Boys
members.
State this year, and we can get into Boys and Girls State after this, but continue with that.
There's a lot of very young House members in the state of Missouri, which is very inspiring to me, because I feel like, politics and, government has a reputation of being a lot of old farts running the place.
Yeah.
But, it's really good to see a lot of younger people getting so involved the second they can. And so definitely that's also my radar, but I don't know that I'll be able to do that with school and, establishing myself in a career in any way. But, yeah. Overall,
out of prime, unfortunately.
He's out of prime. Bring us more Logan Paul if you're listening to this. Is Logan Paul right?
Yeah. No, it's Logan Paul and KSI. But no, continue with what you were saying, because I noticed that at Boys State, whenever we went this past summer, so you were at Girls State being a...
I was on staff this summer at Missouri Girls State, which the year before I was a delegate. And I pushed myself out of my comfort zone. At the time, I really wanted to be a teacher. That obviously is not the case anymore. I wanted to teach social studies at the high school level, but...
You can still teach. You never know. You could still go back
I
into
honestly still could, because...
That's my plan. I plan on eventually going back and being a teacher whenever I'm mid to late 40s.
Right. Teaching it's great. I don't know that it's for me. I've kind of come to terms with that, but at that point I really wanted to be a teacher, so I took the College of Education. There's multiple different colleges you can take based off what interests you. They've got a legislative, a law, I think now they have a business one, but I took the College of Education, and I was appointed to be the Commissioner of Education, which is a statewide position. So that means that the next year I got to return as a staff member, where Jason was a delegate because he did not go the summer before.
Yeah, COVID,
so,
everything.
Funny story about this week. This was June, mid-June of this last summer. I forgot my contacts at home.
And I had to go get them for her as I was leaving.
As he was headed, because I went up a couple days early.
So I feel like we should explain a little bit what Boys State is
you're right.
first. No, but so I had to, she went to, she left for Girls State.
Yeah.
So this was the first year in Missouri. It was held at the same time, Boys and Girls State.
At
Both
the same
held
place.
in Lindenwood.
Lindenwood University in St. Charles, Missouri.
Yes, which is near St. Louis,
Yeah.
and that's a 2.5 hour drive for us. So she was already there because staff had to go early.
We had to go early. I was very dumb, and I forgot to bring my contact lenses. I use daily contacts, and I cannot see without assistance. So I was struggling, and I literally was freaking out. I'm like, who can bring me my contacts? So I called Jason, bless his heart, he's a real one for this. And I'm like, I
broke into her house
I need you to
and
break
brought
into
her
my house,
contacts.
go to my room, look in the left drawer to the middle of my desk, and then find my contacts. It was something like that, something crazy.
Yeah,
some
so
crazy
I went
instructions.
in there. If you want her house code, it's 1234.
For legal reasons, that is not true.
For legal reasons, that's a joke.
Mom and Dad, don't cancel Jason.
But so I wouldn't have brought him to her, but so boys' state and girls' state is essentially, the way I describe it to everybody, 200 to 500, depending on the year, high school boys for boys' state and high school girls for girls' state run a state government for a week.
From the ground up, you build it.
Yeah.
Literally from the ground up.
So it's held on a college campus normally. You get to the college campus, and as soon as you get there, you're assigned a political party. So you're assigned Federalist or Nationalist. And I think I was I was a nationalist. What were you?
I was also nationalist. But with boys and girls state, the colors are swapped. So for girls state, nationalist was the blue, but for the boys it was red.
I was
Isn't that
red.
right?
But so the party, it really doesn't matter. So
It's not very
essentially what
partisan
you do,
at all.
no,
That's
you
not the-
build
that's
what
not the
you
goal.
want your political platform to be in that party. It's funny how we're talking politics after I talked politics last week. But you build what your party platform is, and you run for governmental positions, you run for offices, all the way from the local level, all the way up to the state level,
Yeah.
so governor. And you run for those positions, and you essentially build an entire state government. They fill out the House, Senate, they fill out the Supreme Court, the municipal courts, fill out the district courts. It's
Not to mention,
crazy.
they bring in literally the coolest speakers ever.
Oh my gosh! My favorite one was by far Sly James. He was the former mayor of Kansas City. Loved listening to that
Yeah.
dude. One of the best public speakers I've ever heard.
Right.
He was just also super interesting and down to earth guy.
Yeah. And it's really cool to see like a lot of elected officials that you know of, like take time out of their week or their summer or their day to just
Yeah.
come talk to a bunch of high schoolers. The one night the boys and the girls had a joint session. Claire McCaskill came to speak, former senator.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I loved every second of her speech. Like I thought she did a great job of, because it's really cool to see how boys and girls state, they still allow for like partisanship to exist.
Oh
But
yeah, it's inherently political. Like you
It's-
get people that express their
it's
political
in a
beliefs.
way that everyone is just like so respectful though, because we had, not only did we have Claire McCaskill, we had Mike Parson come. He comes
Yeah.
every year. The governor comes every year.
So two completely different
Two
political
completely
parties.
different political parties, but it's still like the kids get so excited,
Yeah.
just so hyped about it, and it's a life-changing experience. I feel like you're literally like for a week you're living in a bubble.
Yeah.
Because like nothing else exists. Like the only thing that matters is the government that you are in right now that doesn't even really exist. But like it's a figment of your imagination. But it seems so real because they make it feel very real.
No, I thought Boys and Girls Day was absolutely amazing.
It's really life-changing, and like it's by far one of the most life-changing experience I've ever gotten to have, and it's sad that a lot more kids like can't just go because you have to be chosen. Like it's like a process.
And the amount of people, so at National Convention this year, I met a lot of people that I was talking to. I was like, oh, you would probably really like Girls and Boys State. I said, did you go? They're like, either A, they didn't know it existed, or B, said, yeah, I didn't find out about it until after, or C, they said, yeah, I wasn't chosen at my school. Like nobody chose me to go. And
But I mean, it makes sense that, they can't allow so many people, but it just really is such a life-changing experience. And like it totally makes sense why. It's an honor to be chosen. I mean,
It is.
It's really an honor to be chosen. So whenever I was chosen, I knew I wanted to go from the second I heard about it. I was
Same.
like,
I absolutely knew I wanted to go.
that's something I have to do. And I was so scared I wouldn't get chosen, but I did, luckily. And then ever since.
Connections within the history department,
Yes.
that's what I learned.
Yes. History club, our senior year was fun.
That was really fun.
It was fun. I wish we did more. Jason and I were in a lot of similar extracurriculars in high school because we have a lot of the similar interests.
We were founding members of the History Club of Eldon High School.
Yeah.
Proud to say that. No,
Yeah.
I want to get back to Boys and Girls Day real
Okay.
quick
Yes,
because
yes.
I got to be honest. It's one of those things, I highly recommend it if you like anything to do with government, politics, public service, anything like that. But my first few days, I literally texted my parents and said, hey, I'm thinking about pretending to be sick so I can come home. Like, I hated it. You hate it. It's long nights and early mornings. And it's just so, you hate it so much. And it was super hot. It was like 110
Oh my gosh. It was
every
like
single
the
day.
hottest week of the summer.
Oh my gosh.
And I was in charge of, so we did something called the state fair on the
You
football
were in the
field.
state fair committee and everything?
Yeah, and I had to set up for the state fair that entire day. And I was having like withdrawals. Like I was having like, I think I was like hallucinating. I was chugging water, but like it was not enough.
I was too.
And I was in the turf, like the heat radiating off of the turf all day.
Yes.
Made it so much worse. And then even when the night came, it was still hot out there.
Imagine
so it
not
was
having
like,
air conditioning or a fan in your room.
You didn't
at
have
all.
air conditioning?
No. The air conditioning didn't work in our building.
oh my gosh.
It was terrible.
But yeah, overall, Boys and Girls State's great. If you're a young high schooler listening to this, I definitely recommend reaching out.
Asking
Also,
about
don't expect your counselors to come to you and tell you about it because, I mean, they have other things, but make sure if it's on your radar, you are persistent about it, because I've heard a lot of people saying like, oh, well, my counselor didn't tell me, blah, blah, blah. And
The
that's
only
a very
reason I knew
real
about
thing.
it is because I had a friend who went.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. That's a very real thing, but still, I mean, if you want to do something, just in general, be persistent about it and don't expect people to open up the door for you. You got to open it yourself a little bit. So.
I agree. No, going back to what I was saying though, so my experience with Boys State, so I hated the first few days. And then I didn't want to leave at the end. I feel like that's how they describe it. It's like, you won't want to leave at the end. Well, you're there and you're like, what am I doing wrong? I was fortunate enough. I was persistent whenever I went. And it was life-changing for me and perspective change because I ran for governor. I knew as soon as I wanted to get there, I wanted to be governor. Ended up taking second in the primaries for the Nationalist Party. So I was up there.
Yeah, that's very impressive.
It's funny, though, too. There's a lot of controversies. Like, it's real. There's political controversies. There's actual laws you have to, take into account. So, I don't want to say his name. The guy who was the nationalist, actual candidate for us ended up... He had a bunch of lawsuits against him during the campaign for illegal campaigning, embezzling money.
Which Boys State and Girls State bucks are literally pieces of paper cut up.
Oh my god!
But that's the money he was accused of embezzling.
It was, and so a part of that, and then it was lying under oath because he lied about it. So the embezzling money, he lied about embezzling money under oath, and the thing about it was, so he always said, so his county got into a lot of heat because they had stolen $2 million.
Oh my gosh!
And they'd gotten found out about it. And he was like, I didn't do it. It's just coincidence. It was my county and everything. And everybody's like, oh yeah, we're starting to believe him because he was a nice guy. I like this guy. But the very last day, you can run commercials in front of everybody.
The commercials
Literally
are the
runs a
best.
commercial of him practically saying, yeah, I stole the money, and him throwing the money everywhere.
It's iconic. It's iconic.
It was so funny. But there's actual laws. So I know in previous years, there was a straight up bank robbery with a juggernaut suit. They made a juggernaut suit out of old soda boxes and had this dude walk in and just took all the money. There's legit laws that you can break, and it's so fun to see the inner workings of the government.
It's fun to see kids get so creative because resources are limited at Boys and Girls State.
Yes.
And it's fun to see how creative these kids can get.
I agree.
It's very funny to watch. So.
See, my favorite thing about it is, like I said, it was life-changing for me. So my favorite thing about it was going in, like I said, I wanted to be governor. I knew I wanted to be governor whenever I went into Boys and Girls State. I was I keep saying Boys and Girls State because they would say, when I went into Boys State, wanted to be governor. I had always thought I want to go into politics at some point. I want to be a politician at some point. I want to go into a public office. And I was I want to be governor because I thought the campaigning, I thought meeting people, and I thought giving the speeches would be my favorite part. I realized, so I lost the primaries, but I had also become our presiding county commissioner. So I was our county commissioner, and I had a lot of fun doing that. I realized whenever I got that position, I focused all my time at that. Realized whenever I got that position, actually getting down to dirty work, doing the laws, making the ordinances, taking care of that small stuff was my favorite part by far. The speeches are fun because I love talking. I love public speaking. A lot of people don't, but I love that stuff.
Me too.
But actually getting down and actually doing the laws, being of service to people, being a public servant.
Yeah.
By far my favorite part, and it changed my perspective.
It's the things that they don't teach you in the classroom. Is basically it's just in action. You're doing things in action. I think organizations and events like Boys and Girls State are so important because it puts knowledge into action. And I feel there's a lot of knowledge that goes around, and there's a lot of it's the typical book smart versus street smart, but in reality, it's more of turning book smart into not street smart, but just putting it into action. And I think it's really important for a lot of kids to experience something like that at least once in their life.
I agree.
Doesn't have to be Boys or Girls
And you're
State.
self-sufficient. There's practically no adults.
Right.
Like
they're there, but they're not telling you like what to do.
They're
not
literally
baiting
told
you.
not to.
Yeah.
They're told to let you have your own experience.
Yeah.
Now,
Because that was a big thing is like you let these kids have their own experience. This is not your experience. You had that however many years ago, but you let them have their own experience. And they get what they want to get out of it.
Yeah. I will say, my favorite part about it is I led a revolution as the presiding county commissioner, led a revolution against my own city. We started boycotting the taxes because, so funny thing, like I said, there's actual taxes. You have to set the laws. So I was a part of the city council at some point. Well, then I ran for commissioner, got that. So our city had set the tax laws insanely high because the mayor was getting paid more than the governor. And we all thought, we were like, we can't do this. Like, we need to, like, you need to lower it. So, because people couldn't afford to pay taxes. They were paying more a day in taxes than they made in a day. So we were like, you need to lower it. And they're like, no, we can't pay our mayor or whatever. I was like, lower your salary. We don't want to do that. So I got all riled up about it because that meant the county couldn't tax very high because we kept our taxes really, like we kept our salaries really low just so we could get tax money. And we were like, we can't tax very much because they can't afford it. So we started a boycott. And I got our city riled up.
Good
and we started chants in the middle of like walking, just bashing our city and bashing our mayor like, boycott taxes, this is ridiculous. And it got to the point where everybody threatened, they were like, we're not paying taxes, to where our mayor eventually was like, yeah, we're lowering taxes. And I was
It's
like,
good. The best memories ever.
It was so fun. Like that whole experience. I met some people that I talk to still today.
Me too.
Like so amazing. Also, they did a documentary over Girl State this year.
They did.
So I don't know if you guys know the movie. So there's a movie on Apple TV called Boy State, which is over Texas Boy State.
Yeah.
Well, they did a documentary over Missouri Girl State this
Yes.
year. I'm hoping, cross my fingers, I was on camera quite a bit.
Yeah, there was cameras everywhere. There was cameras following certain girls around the entire week.
Well, and part of the thing is, one of the girls that was on camera, so one of my friends, so she was friends with one of the girls that was on camera. And anytime she saw me, she would point me out and tell the cameras to look at me and
so
all
funny.
that stuff. So shout out to Iris for that. Love that.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Iris.
Iris, you're
I love
a real one.
Iris.
I love Iris too. She's great.
Thank you for that. I'm hoping, look out for me. Look out for Girl State, the film Girl State, whenever that comes out.
I think it's like 2024 is when
Is
it's
that
coming
when it's
out.
coming out?
I think so.
Look out for me. Hopefully, I'm in it. If I am,
Also, look
I'm
out
a
for me
movie
because
star.
I was actually there.
There you go.
And there was a couple incidents where I was sitting at a table and they were like filming our conversations, and I was like, I do not know what to say right now. I was like, I don't, because I'm not like a natural in front of the camera, as you can probably observe from this.
You're not me.
I'm definitely not Jason Hall, that's for sure, because I'm not allergic to peanuts, but
Oh my gosh.
got him. Okay, anyways, but definitely be on the lookout for that, because it's going to be a really good documentary, I think, because the
I'm
film
excited.
crew was amazing. I mean,
They were.
the week was amazing, so it's the recipe for like a really good documentary, and I love a good documentary. So
I do too. I've gotten into documentaries recently on Netflix.
there's nothing
like,
better than a good documentary. Nothing better.
What's your favorite one?
This is very biased, but I really am into true crime documentaries.
Oh, I thought you were about to say the Taylor Swift one.
That's also, I watch it at least twice a month. But I would have to say true crime documentaries, they're very captivating to me, very interesting,
Okay.
as a CJ major. So
Okay.
the thing I like about true crime is I like seeing how the law handles the situations, that the law isn't necessarily designed to intake, I guess, because I mean, some cases are just so extreme that like
You're like, we didn't
people
prepare
who
for
wrote
this.
the law definitely weren't thinking that it would be broke to the extent that it's been broke to. So
Yeah.
broken to. But yeah, definitely a big true crime person. That's something about me. I can tell you a lot of facts about many different serial killers, which is not a flex. I do not want to make it sound like it is a flex. But that's like, it's something that I've always consumed
That
from a young
obsession
age.
with serial killers is...
It's interesting. I think intention is everything. I mean, if
agree.
you're consuming it for the right intentions, which I do believe exist, I don't think
Just to be
it's-
informed, it's interesting.
It's
human
very,
nature.
it's very, very interesting, and it teaches you a lot because I mean, you can watch a true crime documentary, learn about the history surrounding like the time period that it happened. You can learn about, you know, the way society was treating certain groups of people during that time, the way the law has handled it. I mean, I learned more about the law from true crime documentaries than I have in school personally. Because, I mean, you can see like the law actually working in favor of the victims or against the victims, unfortunately. But yeah, so
saw that in Dahmer, in
yeah,
the new one. So I haven't watched it. I've just watched the first episode, and I just remember that being a big thing in the first episode.
Yeah.
Was like
a lot
they
of
literally
injustice.
didn't believe the dude who ended up being the reason that Jeffrey Dahmer was caught.
Yeah, a lot of injustice. But yeah, I like true crime for those reasons. But I definitely agree that there is a concerning obsession with serial killers that I don't believe I have, but I think it just matters with anything is what's your intention for watching it, you know. Are you doing this to learn? Or are you doing this to feed an obsession that might not be healthy?
Yeah.
I think it really depends on your intention. So
I agree.
And if you feel like your intentions aren't great, then just take a step back, re-examine. It's okay. I mean, whenever you're consuming material that might not be wholesome, it might be normal as a human to be like, you know, form an obsession because we're humans and we're meant to form obsessions, but intention's everything, and I think that's just a big takeaway from true crime. So
I like documentaries. I'm recently getting into them. I'm listening to one right now, or watching one right now on Netflix called How to Be a Tyrant. Basically, it examines the biggest, like most well-known dictators in the world.
You're telling me about this. It sounds very
And
interesting.
they just talk about like what common traits they all have and how they came to power. And I just finished the first episode. It was about Hitler. I can't remember exactly what it was. They were talking about his being able to get everybody under a common belief, being able to manipulate your way into those beliefs, and common enemy is a big one. Common enemy was a big one they were talking about. But Peter Dinklage voices it. He's the narrator. It's super good. But I've always been big on podcasts just because I love learning, and I drive a lot, and I'm on the road a lot, and I always want to constantly be learning. So podcasts, so like documentary podcasts.
I love podcasts.
True crime podcasts, and just like biography podcasts, absolutely love.
Well, back to like the documentary thing, another shout out to Darren Kelling. I took his history through movies class my senior year, first semester. And basically we just watched a bunch of movies that are, you know, somewhat historical. At one point we watched Silver Bullet, the Stephen King movie, which I don't know what that had to do with anything, but...
What?
We watched a movie called They Shall Not Grow Old, I believe it's called, and it's a World War I documentary that they recently turned into color. So, like, it's actual footage from World War I, from the trenches, which World War I was a very, very... gruesome. And so this documentary is basically real footage that's, I mean, it's been, I think BBC is the person who supplied the footage, but they recently put it into color, which I'm not sure how the technological process to that is. I don't even want to imagine because it would not be understandable to me. Yeah, crazy. But they put it into color and you can watch it, and it's like, it feels like very real because it is real, obviously, but it's just like, the color aspect just makes it feel so much more real. And I mean, they show a lot of different stuff from the trenches, and very informative, very educational. Also, it's really interesting to see like the sanitation issues that they dealt with in World War I, which I mean, I had an idea, but now that once I watched the documentary, I was like, well, that's absolutely crazy. Like, how did people like live in those conditions?
World War I was an interesting
World War I, the Great War, is just, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people don't really know a lot about World War I, but I've always been.
It was the first modern war and the last, like the last old war and the first modern war at the same time. Like, a lot of people don't realize, and I think it's crazy to still think about, they still fought with horses in World War I, which is like...
Which you can see that in the documentary if you watch it.
Oh my gosh. Like, because you wouldn't imagine that. Because my favorite part of history to study, I'm a big history guy. My favorite part of history to study is World War II. Because I think there was so much going on.
World War II is just such a good event to get into if you want to get into history. Like, if you're like...
There's something for everybody.
Yeah.
There was so much going on at the same time.
You've got the political aspect. You've got the
social aspect.
The social aspect of it. You've got, the genocidal aspect of it with like all the injustices committed towards multiple different groups of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people, associate the Holocaust very closely with World War II, for obvious reasons, but there's a lot.
There were two separate things.
There's so many other different groups of people who were targeted during World War II. That's very interesting to look at. But World War II, there's something for everybody. So if you're looking to get into history, I recommend starting with World War II. Also, if you're like into war and like war strategies, there's a lot of that in World War II.
Very, very interesting time in history.
It's I feel like if you want to get into history, that's a very good place to start because it can seem so overwhelming.
I think that and the Civil War are two
the Civil
good
War,
places. If you want to focus on U.S. history, because U.S. was involved in World War II. So
I personally
Civil Wars are good.
I've always been more interested in U.S. history compared to international world history.
I agree.
I would say that the American Revolution and that time period is personally what I have always been the most interested in. I like the idea behind it. I feel like the idea behind it is.
I agree.
And like just the founding of our government, the Constitution, and stuff like that. As a political science major, I feel like I know, because every class I take, we've talked about the start of our government and the struggles of our government at the very beginning. So.
I think senior year of high school made me more interested in the Revolutionary War than I was previously.
It's just like, I don't know, it gives you a little bit of pride as an American.
It did. It does.
Yeehaw!
I think it's an interesting part in history, but like I said, World War II is like my favorite part, but World War I, getting back to that, so like...
It's I feel like on the surface, if you're not like a history buff, very boring, but like it takes a little bit of just... absorbing the information.
It's a tough one to get into.
It is a tough one to get into, I will say. But I definitely, if you're interested, I would definitely recommend the They Shall Not Grow Old documentary.
Okay.
It's very good. I think we should get into some college tips for, incoming college students, as well as maybe students who are already in college. And I would like to preface this by saying I'm by no means a professional because I'm still trying to figure it out. But
no, go Miss Professional Emily.
I think that the only thing that it really, really takes to make it through college and survive is time management. Like
That's
that is
so true.
Because like everything else doesn't really matter. Like time management is everything, and I am not great at managing my time. I will go ahead and just say that right now.
Neither am I.
But like having a schedule that you follow and like setting time aside to do certain tasks every day is the recipe for a good college experience. I feel like.
I agree. Like, time management is one of the biggest things in college.
And in life, I'm starting to learn it, which stinks because I'm not good at time management.
Neither am I.
And it's so unfortunate that that's like the main thing I need as an adult, and I'm awful at it. But you know what? It's something that everyone can work on. I feel like procrastination is.
Procrastination's amazing. It's amazing what it does to you.
The effort you will go to push things off for so long.
So I was watching a TED Talk on it actually, and they were talking about how if you give yourself a time frame, you are going to wait till you are going to fill that time frame to do the assignment. Whether or not you do it at the end, beginning, or spread it out throughout, you are going to take that time frame to do the assignment. So it's best like if you give yourself less of a time frame than you actually can have.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm like the worst about like telling myself to do things early and then just like gradually keep pushing them off because they're not due. I'm like, well, I don't need to do it yet because it's not due until however long. But
it's not due until tomorrow. I don't have to do it yet.
Overall, though, I would say that don't let people scare you into thinking college is like this really difficult thing because it's really like I think it really depends on your major. It helps that I'm majoring in literally two of like the easiest things like ever. But
it helps that my major is mainly experience based too. So
we're speaking from our own experiences, but like if you're passionate about your major and it's something that you know you're going to enjoy, it's not anything to be scared of.
You're an astrophysicist major? Easy.
Yeah, you wanna be a rocket, what is it?
A rocket
Aerospace engineer?
Aerospace engineer.
You want to be a doctor? Easy.
Easy.
Just
I
do
could
it.
do that surgery right now.
I could be a heart surgeon. Like I could go perform open heart surgery. No, I'm just kidding. That is very.
You could perform it. You wouldn't be successful.
I would not be able to perform it. I would see the knife and I would be very scared.
Yeah, same.
Or the scalpel or whatever it's called. Yeah, no.
I wouldn't be able to do that.
Shout out to all the doctors out there. Thank you for your hard work and dedication.
Any other college tips?
just manage your time. Don't be stupid. Don't commit murder or anything, you know? Like, just follow the law.
I also say to that, like, not the following the law, time management and stuff. Know that it's all right to have fun in college, too.
Know that it is all right to not be spending every single second of your day studying because you're afraid that you're going to fail. Because I can't even explain to you how much I would not want to go to college if it wasn't for the experience that weren't related to my education.
Same.
Like, if it was like you're going to college, you're not going to make friends, you're going to sit in your room all day, you're going to study, and then you're going to go to class, and then you're done. I would not go to college.
No.
Because, like, everyone's like, well, you're paying for an experience. You are paying for an experience, and it looks different for everybody. It just depends on what you're going to school for, what kind of school you're going to, if you're going to a 2-year school. Nonetheless, don't feel like you have to, like, literally slave away. Put the effort in you feel like you need to put in to be successful or to meet your goals that you set for yourself. That's also an important thing, is to set goals. But, like, don't feel like you can't go do things. Or you can't, like, skip a day of studying every now and again.
I agree.
Like, allow yourself in moderation to have a really good time.
Yeah. No, have fun in college.
It's really like, everyone's like, it goes by so fast, and I'm like, it is literally going by so fast.
It is. No, the first month of college for me was so slow. And then
That's about how it was
after
for me,
that,
too.
It's like, holy cow, where is the time gone?
And it's a lot of fun. Like, it's just like, never in your life will you be like surrounded by so many different people, I feel like, there's just so much so many different things going on, so many opportunities to get involved and to learn things about yourself. Like, I pushed myself out of my comfort zone by joining the rugby team. And I didn't really play sports in high school. I did track my senior year.
Peak rugby performance right here.
No, I'm actually really bad. But, like, it's still something that I pushed myself out of my comfort zone to do. And it's been really fun. Like, a lot of the girls are really great. And it's just been, like, a really good experience. And just doing stuff like that just is so random and hectic, that's, like, part of college.
Yeah.
Like, I was talking to your dad this one time, and he was like, it's crazy that you, like, joined the rugby team. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, like, that's what college is for. Like, it's literally for things like that don't make sense but, like, sound kind of fun. Like, that is what college is about.
Oh, I agree 100%.
So I really actually enjoy college. I'm convinced I'll probably stay in college. And it was all yellow. Speaking of which, Coldplay, underrated.
Bro, I've never really listened to Coldplay.
Coldplay's so good. Coldplay, underrated band. Goated. Your skin, oh yeah, your skin and
Why are they
bones.
goated? Like,
I don't know, they just are.
did you recently start listening to Coldplay?
Well, more recently. Because it's just like the seasons changing. It's like, I like listening to bands, like, depending on the season. Like, do you know Greta Van Fleet?
Yeah.
They're really good during the fall.
Okay.
Because, like, once the weather's changing, their music just hits different.
So who's your, like, peak artist for each season?
Taylor Swift is year-long. She's steady throughout all seasons. But I would say fall, we got Greta Van Fleet. Winter, I'm going to say Coldplay. The summer, I'm going to go with a bunch of different boy bands. So, like, One Direction, 5 Seconds of Summer. And then spring? I don't actually know. Spring.
Okay.
That's open for suggestions, but summer gives me definite boy band vibes.
No, I 100% agree.
Like, yeah, 100%. Like, One Direction just hits different during the summer.
Oh, okay. Big Time Rush.
Big Time Rush. But I don't know who my spring band would be. Open for interpretation or suggestions.
My summer immediately, Kenny Chesney.
Country music during the summer.
Peak summer.
That's really the only time I listen to
Not
country
just
music
any
during
country
the
music,
summer.
like Kenny Chesney, peak summer vibes.
Peak.
Kenny Chesney, Jimmy Buffett, peak summer.
I know Jason likes his country music during the summer because
Why?
Yes. Because, like, every time I go over to your house for a pool party or something, that's always
my
what's...
parents.
I know, but, like, that's...
Fair enough.
Those are who raised you. Those who raised you. Put that into your head.
You know who's peak summer, though, too? J. Cole.
J. Cole, I feel like... Maybe J. Cole gives me spring vibes. He's not a band.
They're year-round.
This is actually J. Cole. You might not know this about your podcast host, but
So I'm
that is
actually
J. Cole.
unofficially J. Cole.
Jason Cole.
Because I rapped No Role Models in front of the school.
No role models, and I'm here right now.
No role models to speak of. So you mentioned Taylor Swift.
It's a touchy subject right now. As of this moment, it's a touchy subject, but I was in her 0.005% of listeners last year.
Wow.
So you say you're a Swiftie. What percentage were you in? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I was in her 0.005% of listeners last year.
Wow.
I started really getting into her music like the summer before my sophomore year of high school. So I really haven't been a Swiftie for that long, but I guess that's kind of a long time. That's 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's the last time
her
she
music
toured.
changed my life. I know every single one of her songs. I've found this website where you can it's all the albums, and you can literally guess or type in songs and puts it in the album. Does that make sense? You type the song title and it designates it to an album. So I've been quizzing myself. I've been going to each album trying to put as many songs as I can put into each album, and I'm literally almost close to getting all the albums.
See, I'm a big Taylor Swift fan too. I'm not a Swiftie because I think there's levels of being a Taylor Swift fan.
Right.
So there's a fan of her music, which is where I am. I really enjoy her music. Then you are a Taylor Swift fan, and then you're a Swiftie. Because Swifties are over
We're a really hardcore fan base, and I definitely associate myself with the Swifties, so I love you guys.
Fair enough. I will never associate myself with the Swifties.
That's
though,
okay. But I've actually been listening to a lot more Eminem lately.
That's good. So, you mentioned that with Taylor Swift. So, Eminem, one of my all-time favorite artists. And whenever I need to keep myself awake on car drives, I will turn on his music and quiz myself to see if I know the song and the album that the song came from. I'll just hit shuffle on his music, and I am pretty much 100% on all of them. So, not to brag or anything, but I'm an OG, man. The first song I ever learned word for word intentionally was Lose Yourself back in 6th grade. What can I say?
Arms weak. What is it? Mom spaghetti? Something like that?
Palms are sweaty,
knees weak, arms are heavy, there's vomit on his sweater already. Mom spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down.
The whole crowd goes so loud.
I'm not an Eminem girly. I'm trying to get into him because I feel like there's something I'm missing.
Do you need some recommendations?
I'm always up for recommendations, but don't shower me with them because some of his music overwhelms me a little bit.
What kind of music do you like of his?
There's one song I listened to the other day that I really liked, but I don't know what it's called.
Do you like more grungy Eminem or poppy Eminem?
I like the Eminem where he's not talking really fast or rapping abnormally fast.
Okay, so that's newer Eminem. So what I recommend, honestly, in my opinion, these are 2 of the best albums of any genre of all time. Marshall Mathers LP, probably my favorite album of all time. And then the Eminem Show is a close second. They're back-to-back albums.
Is that when he was doing drugs?
No, so the Marshall Mathers LP is around his era like that, but the Eminem Show is Till I Collapse, Without Me.
Oh yeah.
Say Goodbye to Hollywood, Haley's song. It's really good. It's a really good album. It's the Red cover album.
Okay.
Not to get confused with Red by Taylor Swift.
Taylor's version. My 20th birthday party is going to be Emilie's version.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm going to have a karaoke party. Mark your calendars. You're all invited.
Do I get invited?
Yes, of course. It's going to be a karaoke party, and all I want is a cake that says 20 Emilie's version.
Fair enough.
Because I turned 20 in 4 months, which is crazy.
See, as I've gotten into Taylor Swift music, so literally the only reason I got into it was because...
Reputation.
No, yeah, it was because of Reputation,
Best
but because...
album.
No, Midnight's my new favorite album.
Really?
Oh,
my
so
gosh.
good.
It's a great album, but Reputation is still my favorite album.
No, but so my was junior year. So that year of COVID and everything, there was this girl on TikTok that I saw that did a trend where she listened to a new album every single day. And I attempted that. I did it for 3 months, which I was proud of myself.
That's crazy.
And
you made TikToks about it, didn't you?
I did. I made TikToks every single day. At jholland_12 if you want to go check those out. But I was recommended Reputation and Lover by, I think it was you. It's either you or Harley.
It might have been, I don't know.
It was somebody. I got recommended those albums, and I listened to them, and I really enjoyed them. And I got recommended more, so I listened to Evermore and Folklore.
Honestly, those 2 albums single-handedly carried me through high school.
Really?
Single-handedly. Because the vibes of Folklore and Evermore are...
agree. Unmatched.
Unmatched.
That's such a laid back and just Oh, you can vibe to those.
You
so
literally
easily.
can. And there's so many songs, and the lyrics are just so deep, and you can, like, dig into them if you want to, or you can choose to just listen to it and not, like, think about it.
Yeah.
I love her.
It's so good. No, but then I listened to Red Taylor's version whenever that came out, and I didn't get the hype behind it, but I was like, you know what, I'll listen to it, and it's got some good music.
It really
I'll
does.
agree.
I firmly believe that Taylor Swift's music is very, I understand why people don't, like, obsess over her. Like, I can definitely see it, but, like, I'm convinced that people who are more, like, English, like, subject-wise, like, more, like, social science and English people, like, they just, like, me personally, like, that was always, like, my
They
favorite
vibe
subject.
with Taylor Swift, yeah.
Because, like, her lyrics are so, like, complex and deep, and it's, like, if you, like, take time to, like, dissect them, it's, like,
That's why you would like Eminem.
my life's changed. And that's why I'm trying to get into Eminem. I'm trying to get the hype.
He's
But
one of the greatest storytellers.
this man
in rap
has been
ever.
obsessed with Eminem since the day I met him.
I love his music. A lot of people just see rap music and they see easy to listen to. It's super simple. Like there's not a lot complex to it. But like guys like Eminem, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar,
I do like
you
Kendrick
listen
Lamar.
to those guys
Yeah.
and you actually break down their lyrics and break down the rhyme schemes. I like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole and Eminem because they're really good storytellers.
Mm-hmm.
Eminem's a very good storyteller. Kendrick Lamar, his music, you
I
don't
really
think
enjoy-
it tells
I
a
enjoy Kendrick
story,
Lamar.
and then, oh my gosh.
I'm not super, I don't claim to be a Kendrick Lamar fan because I feel like I know like 5 or 6 songs, but every song I've heard of his, I really enjoy.
Yeah.
So,
So you can be on that level where like I enjoy his music.
yes.
Okay.
Yes. I do enjoy his music.
You'd be able to wear like a Kendrick Lamar shirt and feel confident. That,
I don't know
like,
about that.
Really? Okay.
Because a lot of people wear band shirts and then like the whole, I'm not hating on anyone if you're like the trendy type. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm very trendy myself. I love trends. I think that they're fun to keep up with and predict and see.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole like band t-shirt thing and then the older generations targeting us for wearing
I
a,
hate that so much.
okay, because like, tell me why we can't wear a Queen shirt or like I have like a Def Leppard shirt and they're like, okay, name 10 Def Leppard songs right now if you're wearing that shirt. And I'm like, no.
I hate that because I'm like, okay, first of all, like, okay, if you're a fan of them, you're supporting it. If you're not, you can wear whatever you
It's
want.
a
I don't care.
cute shirt.
Also, isn't it just doing more to promoting that artist?
Yeah.
So you're more likely to look them up if you see a cool shirt or something like that. I still think it's funny to see some of them though. The thing that I love behind it is whenever people ask them that questions, be upfront and honest. Just say, hey, I wore it because it was cool. I respect that. Don't be the person that's like, oh, and try and act overly confident and then name like 4 or 5 songs that aren't even by
They're
them.
like, name 2 Queen songs. Bohemian Rhapsody. That's it. That's all they can name. That's just an example.
No, I agree with you though. I hate that whenever people are like, oh, you can't name this.
Or like literally like as a female saying I like a sports team and then all these high school boys are like, okay, name 10 players on the team. It's like, no.
No, I fall victim to this
Yeah,
because no, I've done that to you before.
No, you have.
She's a Chargers fan
It's
because
so annoying.
she grew up around Chiefs fans and she was like, who's the like number 1 person that could beat the Chiefs? The Chargers.
No, that's not what I did. I literally Googled NFL team wheel, and it landed on the Chargers. And that is the sole reason I'm a Chargers fan. Justin Herbert is a plus.
Oh my god.
And the Chiefs and Chargers at this time, they actually play together, or they play against each other tomorrow.
They play tomorrow.
So that'll be fun to watch. But
No, I fall victim to that though too, because like not with the band T-shirts, but I wear a lot of different sports apparel. So I have like hats from different MLB teams, shirts from different NFL, NBA teams, and all that stuff. The amount of people who are like, "Oh, I didn't know you were a fan of that team. Like, name this," and I'm like, I straight up say, I just like it because it's cool. I'm just a sports fan. So
Yeah.
like my Orioles hat. I could tell you Adley Rutschman is the only player in the Orioles I could tell you. Love the hat, love the logo, so clean. That's the only reason I wear it.
yeah,
So, I don't know.
it's I don't know. It's like sometimes I feel like, especially whenever I was in high school, it was like I had to watch, whenever I wore sports gear because I know I would get interrogated by some people. Not necessarily only Jason.
You're a Queen fan? Name every Queen song ever.
Oh yeah, you're a baseball fan. Give me every single location of every baseball on the planet. No.
I can tell you where every baseball stadium is.
Yeah, I used to be able to tell you like if someone gave me a baseball team, I could tell them if it was AL or NL. And then at one point I could literally like divvy them up like from memory.
Division-wise.
Yes, that too.
Oh, wow.
I went through a phase when the Royals lost the World Series in 2014 and then they won in 2015. I was in my baseball era. I was turning into every game. I was keeping up with all the stats, all the teams. I was looking to who's going to who team, who's going where, who's playing where. I was obsessed. But I was also homeschooled and very strange and had nothing else to do because I had no friends.
I don't even think I could tell you each division every team's in.
I
probably could, but it would take me a while to break it down.
This was age what? How old was I? Like 12? Yeah, I was obsessed. Obsessed. And then after we won in 2015, it was never the same again, and the Royals now suck.
That's crazy.
Still a Royals fan, but not quite the vibe anymore. Hasn't been the same since Ned Yost left.
Ned Yost, what a guy.
And then Mike Matheny brought his bad vibes to our team. And
hey, that man had never been below 500 in his career until he came to the Royals.
Well, he should have stayed where he was.
The Cardinals fired him, so I mean.
Well, he should have retired.
So Marvel, I'm kind of the same way, where I'm like an obsessive fan. That's my thing that I like obsessing over. I'm a pretty big nerd over it. But you mentioned you have some Marvel hot takes.
I personally believe I cannot talk as a Taylor Swift fan, aka a Swiftie. I cannot sit here and say that the Marvel fan base is toxic. However,
oh, they are. I'm a Marvel fan, and the Marvel fan base is so toxic.
I believe that the Marvel fan base not only is toxic, but is literally, in some ways, ruining the movies for a lot of people. And
I agree.
Let me expand. First of all, I'm frustrated with how many spin-offs the Marvel franchise is making. It's hard to keep up with. If you want to understand what's going on in a movie, a big movie coming out, you have to go back and watch however many movies, 30 movies, 20 movies, something like that.
Yeah, so.
And it's ridiculous that to understand what's going on in a show or a movie produced by the Marvel franchise, you have to literally spend an ungodly amount of time going back and watching all these stinking shows because everything's connected. And I think there's a lot of value to that if you're like a lifelong fan and you've like been keeping up. But for someone who like wants to get into it, it's nearly impossible because you have to dedicate so much time. And because I've tried, I mean, I was watching it from the beginning. I think I made it like halfway. So I feel like I've got a pretty decent understanding of a lot of the storylines, but like I don't fully understand to the capacity that, for example, my family does or Jason does because they keep up with everything.
I'm literally wearing a Venom shirt right now.
Yeah, it's like, it's so frustrating to me because I think that because of that, it just excludes Marvel fans from every other people who like to watch movies.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It's making a gap instead of bridging the gap.
I agree. I think the problem that I have with Marvel right now, first of all, Marvel fans are very toxic. Very gatekeepy.
Nerds!
And I consider, so...
Just kidding.
I think a lot of them are. I think it's the loud minority is the way I like to say it, is very toxic and very, puts it that way, because I'm a Marvel fan, but like, it took a while for me to respect, because I'm a classic Marvel fan. I watched the first Iron Man in theaters, watched Endgame, Infinity War in theaters, like opening night, like, I love Marvel, and those are my movies. The newer movies, not a massive fan of a lot of them. But I think I've learned slowly to respect. So like my sister is recently getting into Marvel. She's super excited to watch all the new movies. She likes all the new movies. And I'm like, I got to respect that. So like that's when she's becoming a fan. And I think that's the problem a lot of people have is like, these movies aren't the same as the old ones. It's like, yeah, but like still appreciate that somebody's becoming a fan because they're going to go back and watch the other ones. Now, I also agree with the fact that I think they're pumping out way too much stuff.
It's too fast, too. They're pumping it out at such a rate that's impossible to keep up with.
It's way too fast.
For the average American or citizen in the freaking world that has a job or a family or a life outside of watching movies.
I think the reason they do it is because they want to get something for everybody. So their newer shows have had something for everybody. To where like Miss Marvel was like trying to appeal to the preteens, like teenagers, like younger generation to get them into it. She-Hulk was like a crime drama, like a courtroom drama, all that stuff. And these different movies are appealing to different groups of people.
Right.
But my problem is they're not high quality. They're just pumping stuff out to pump stuff out.
Yeah.
I would rather them put out one movie every year, but it be super high quality, like Winter Soldier level high quality.
Yes. Winter Soldier. And here's the thing. I don't even dislike Marvel movies. Like, I really enjoy the movies. I think they're very captivating. They're very effective at doing what they need to do. And I really enjoy the Marvel movies. Like, I consider myself, like, someone who does not dislike Marvel, who actually likes them. I like what they produce. But, like, for example, WandaVision, I love that show.
Yeah.
That was a really good show. And I understood what was going on because I had people explain things to me. But, like, that's the only way I was able to understand it. And I really like the content overall. Like, I like the movies. I like the superhero movies. But it's just, like, can we, like, slow down for one? Because they're going to get burnt out eventually.
And that's the problem they're running into. They're burning a lot of people out, and they can't pull it back anymore because people are already expecting this much. So people will complain either way.
Yeah.
What are some other Marvel hot takes?
I think Iron Man is the best superhero.
Let's go. I'm a Tony Stark guy.
Also, I am also a Tony Stark guy. The Iron Man movies, that's the first movie I watched, I think.
Yeah, it was the first.
Yeah, that's the first. Because Jason sent me a list. And I had seen them, but it had been a while. But, like, I love the storyline of Iron Man. I love the concept. I love Iron Man, like, as a guy. I love Tony Stark.
Tony Stark's
as a
goated.
character. I think, obviously, the actor who plays Tony Stark is one of the greatest of all time.
RDJ. Love him.
He's a GOAT, and I think he's better than
Cap.
And there's another hot take. Cap, problematic.
Captain America's problematic?
Problematic.
Why?
All he does is act in favor of himself. What's the movie where he
That's not true, though.
he doesn't listen to anybody and he just does his own thing and he messes everything up for everybody?
Civil War?
Yeah, Civil War. I hated Civil War.
What?
I hated Civil War.
I loved it.
Now I want to go watch Marvel movies. Now I'm feeling like,
I got them all.
well, they're all on Disney Plus. I just need to sit down and do
Not
it.
all of them. Spider-Man isn't.
Oh, crap. Well, whenever I get there. But yeah, that's my hot take.
Okay.
Hot takes.
Cool.
A couple. I think I need to educate myself a little bit more before I continue to make hot takes on Marvel, but
I still think you can.
my hot take as a whole is that Marvel is overrated, but that's mostly because of their more recent
Newer content.
Yeah. Just very hard to keep up with.
I'm more excited for DC coming up because
I think that they're on the rise.
James Gunn got put in charge. He essentially is the co-CEO of DC now. Absolutely goated move.
Right.
So James Gunn directs the Guardians of the Galaxy movies for you guys who don't know.
Guardians of the Galaxy, goated series.
Bro, James Gunn being put in charge of DC is one of the greatest moves Warner Bros. Has ever made in their career. Because, I'm so excited for DC in the future.
I think that they...
I wasn't a DC fan either.
either.
So I'm super excited to see something new.
Well, what's the one movie coming out? It's not Batman.
Black Adam?
Yes. That one looks interesting.
It's out right now.
Oh, it is?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Final question of the show. Final question of the podcast. If you could do anything for the rest of your life and money does not matter whatsoever, you have all the money you need. If you could do anything for the rest of your life, what would you do?
Like a career?
Yeah.
Or just like...
What would you do as a job? You gotta work, but money doesn't matter.
Money doesn't matter. This is going to sound very against everything I've ever said. Just like a stay-at-home individual that just stays at home and, not for somebody, like not like a housewife personally, but maybe just like someone who gets paid to literally like stay at home, keep the house clean, cook, survive.
But you gotta work, so like a career-wise, is what I'm saying, like career-wise. It could be the career you're going into right now.
Honestly, yeah, probably an attorney.
Okay, good.
Successful attorney, because, I've always wanted to be, deep down, that's always what I've wanted to do. It's always what people have told me I should do, which that's not what you should do, what people tell you to do.
I agree.
Don't just be like, oh, they told me I should be a doctor, don't do that. But, there's been like a similarity between what I wanted to do and what people said I'd be good at. And I'm not saying I live for people's validation, but like, it's good to have people being like, oh, you'd be really good at that,
Mm-hmm.
So definitely, I think a very successful attorney that has integrity, which is, we need more of those, so. What about you?
I'm doing it.
Oh, he's doing it.
I'm doing it. Social media, working with media,
making the money
working with
moves.
social media.
Future president of the United States, mark my words.
Okay, we're gonna mark that right.
Jason Holland, future president of the United States.
Give him my full name. All right, Emily.
And social security number.
Okay. Do you want to give shout outs to your socials?
Follow me on Twitter, EMVP2003. That's really the only social media that
Okay.
I can think of because I'm very private on everywhere else. Thank you for having me. It's been a blast. I hope to be back on eventually. But
She may be a recurring guest, may not.
I may
who
be,
knows?
or I might be blacklisted from the podcast at some
Depends on
point.
how this happens. Depends on how this episode performs.
Yeah,
So you better push it on all your.
I will, with my 200 followers on Instagram, I will push it to my fullest extent. But
That's
yeah,
the episode. See y'all.
peace.
Deuces.